So welcome to our very informal little session here for photographers or for baby photographers. My name is Jason McDonald, and we're going to share, a few tips, and then our participants, as we were saying, we're filmed in front of a live studio audience. They're going to ask some questions, and so we'll at least kind of give you some helpful tips for digital marketing for photographers. So I'm going to share my screen here and go through my tips real quick, and then we'll just have a discussion. All right, so are you guys seeing my screen with the camera?
Yes.
Okay. So I built a little web page, and I've done quite a few trainings, and in my books I get a lot of questions from people and whatnot. And so just to be really practical, I thought what I would share is sort of what I would see as sort of the highest value to-dos for photographers, things that you want to, either you maybe know and you are doing, or you don't know and you should do, or just part of your audit list of things that you want to make sure are being done. And of course, SEO, search engine optimization, or social media, they're kind of the proverbial onion. You can go as deep as you want, and there's always another level of detail, but often the highest value is sort of early on, so some of the basic steps. So what I did is I built some searches just to sort of get our minds around things. So here's one I just sort of a sample. So one core idea, I think, on the SEO track, so this is the search engine optimization track, or as I like to refer to it, get to top of Google for free track. Think about what your searches are, and you can see from just the search baby photographers Dallas, right? So a very common pattern is going to be photographer, photography, plus kind of what's being photographed. So it could be corporate headshots or industrial. I've even done workshops for people who do industrial photography, or baby, or kids, or dogs, or whatever. And then people will often also put that city. And then if you just pay attention to what are called the Google autocompletes, you'll see that you have sort of variations in the word pattern. So you have newborn, right? And DFW versus Dallas, and Plano, which is a suburb of Dallas, and family, and child photography. So that's the first kind of idea, is to sort of pay attention to, and this helps you define yourself. Are you mainly babies, mainly family, mainly dogs, mainly kids? There's different types of things that you specialize in and that they would search for, and then whatever the cities are. Okay, within that rubric, when you're looking at search, right, we'll ignore ads at the top, and then just notice that you have this middle part, which is called the Google pack, or sometimes people call it the snack pack or the local pack, and that's very important on the phone as well. And then you have your organic results below. Now, within that snack pack, right, within the local pack, you want to notice that the people that show up here are in Dallas, and then notice the review stars. And then if you click on this one here and you look at the stars, you'll see that those are they're always Google reviews. Okay, so this is going to be one of the big takeaways, is the incredible importance of reviews on Google to photography websites in terms of ranking. Okay, so you want to look at a search, and then look and notice what the opportunities are, and then, and in this case, look at the reviews, and then realize that that's something that you can influence by asking your happy campers to review you. Okay, I want to talk a little bit about Instagram too, and I want to show you kind of a trick on Pinterest as well. Okay, all right, so let's just talk for a second about what I would say are your highest value to do. So I'm kind of in the evil marketing department, and it's always hard to work with more artistic people like photographers. But from a marketing perspective, like what's going to make you money, right? That's really what I'm focusing on. So the first high value idea is this idea of knowing your keywords. And I have a tool here that will help you. So this tool allows you to put in photographer, right? And this is what I often call kind of Jason is therapist, right? So it's like you can go, let me zoom in here for you. You can put in sort of a starter keyword, photographer being the most obvious, And then you can look at these and you can get a sense of like, what do people search for? And then ask yourself, is that me? Is that relevant? Is that what I'm trying to do? Right? And you can see weddings are very important, babies, amateur, sort of different, Alaska, whatever, architectural, right? You see a lot of stuff for price and cost. That gets to why blogging is valuable. And then this tool also gives you some very rough sense of the volume, like how many searches per month occur. And then this CPC, that's the cost per click, that's the cost that you pay as an advertiser. And that generally reflects the value, the money, like where's the money? So wedding photographer, $6 a click versus amateur photographer, $263. This tool is kind of telling you there's more, if somebody puts in amateur, they don't want to hire anybody. So therefore there's no money there. So therefore you wouldn't advertise on it or work on it. So this is a useful tool for discovering your keywords. And you want to write your keywords down and really start to dig into those. Related to that is this idea of doing Google Suggest. So go baby photographer. And then what I like to do is just go A, B, C, and look through them. Now you're going to see a lot of cities, which is very clear indication of how geographic this kind of a market is, right? And then you can also go to the beginning, A, B, and you're just looking. And here's one, best baby photographer. So when you're looking at your website, this is a clue, that you need to call yourself the best, because that's what nobody searches for worst photographer, right? Nobody searches for worst photographer. So, so you want to think about those keywords and get a sense of them. And again, some advice here for most of the people, as I could figure out from talking to Leah, your cities. People, because it's a geographic market. So it's not something that you buy over the internet. So people are going to put in, Dallas, Plano, whatever, Tulsa, Bixby, Oklahoma City. They're going to put those cities, and you've got to get those cities on your website. And that's a common mistake. So that's the first takeaway, is really get those keywords in. The second takeaway here is to optimize your website. And this, we could do a whole, let me mute you guys, there's getting some background noise here. We could do a whole, there's so much to this, but I have a link here to this really useful Google SEO starter guide. And I always think about this a little bit like when you're driving in a car and it's like we're lost, and kind of male stereotypes. It's like, how about we ask for directions, right? So the idea here is, this is Google's official guide, and they will go through and they'll tell you important things about how to build your website to talk to Google. And for instance, this is one of their most important takeaways is put your keywords in the titles of your pages. So if you want to rank for, baby photographer Indianapolis, you need to title your pages baby photographer Indianapolis. Don't beat around the bush and try to be, artistic. Make it very clear what the page is about. And they really emphasize this. So again, super high value for this kind of group is spend the hour, if even that, and read through this guide. And it tells you the very basic stuff that Google would like you to do. So that's super high value, and we can come back to that in Q&A. So that's number 2. Number 3, and if you haven't done this, huge opportunity and to do is to claim your business and then optimize it. So I have the links for you here. So this is the Google My Business portal, and you can see I have some sites that I control in there. And if you got in there, you just go add location and follow the instructions to claim your listing. And the number 2 listing service is Yelp, and I have the link for you as well. Yelp is really interesting, kind of 2 reasons. One is I'm out here in the Bay Area, so Yelp is really important in the blue states. So California, New York, Seattle, etc. It is not very important in the red states. I don't know why this is. It is a Bay Area company. So here in the Bay Area, photographers, people are going to look on Yelp. They might not do that in, say, Plano, Texas. So it may not matter in that way. However, if you go to Bing and you put in, you know, photographers, Dallas, Texas, we'll just see if this is there. You'll often see the Yelp reviews here. So even if you live in Dallas where Yelp isn't that big, Yelp influences the Bing results. Bing's about 20% of the market. And the other thing that you'll often see with respect to Yelp, and we can try this as well, let's put in baby photographer Dallas. You'll often see Yelp, see the Yelp here. So you'll often see Yelp showing on Google searches as well. So the customer may do a Google search, click through to Yelp, find out about you because you optimized your Yelp listing, and then if you ask them, how did you find out? They'll say, oh, I found you on Google, but they really found you on Yelp. So Yelp is a very high value listing for photographers. Okay, now within that I have a little kind of point B and C. So how do you ask customers for reviews? There's a nifty little, and I'll show you how to do this here. Let me get the zip code. There's a nifty little tool called the review link generator, okay? And I gotta get the person's name. So I don't know this photographer, but I just looked it up. So what you can do here is you go to this generator and you put in your business name, Megan Reddy photographer, and you put in your zip code. And then this tool will go out and kind of try to find you in Google, and you go, yeah, that's me in this instance. And then this horrible long URL. So then you can copy this URL, okay? And then you know, don't shoot me, I'm just a piano player. But you go to another website like tinyurl, which is a shortener or bit.ly. You paste that in here and copy it. So now you have that horrible long Google URL and you've copied it to this short little URL here. And what that is you can then do this, you know, hi, you know, it was so great to work with you. You know, please do me a favor and write me a review on Google. And then you can paste that in your email, right? So when the person gets that email, okay, then they're going to click on that email and watch this. When they click on that in their email, it's going to pop them right up to write a review on Google. So you can now have a little email, like after you've done your photo shoot, you can send it to your client and make it really easy for them to write a review for you, because you got to make it easy because it's hard to get people to do this. So that's a really good little tool for these Google reviews. Related to that is the Facebook review tab. And I was looking at photographers kind of prepping for this. So on Facebook, and again, let me zero in here for you guys. On Facebook, as photographers, as local businesses, if you set your business type to be local business, that will enable the review tab on Facebook. And then again, customers can review you on Facebook, and assuming you have happy customers, now you have another mechanism for people to say, hey, I really liked working with this photographer and they're really excellent. So that's a Facebook review tab, and I have a link here to the kind of help file from Facebook about how this works and how, if you don't have it turned on, how you turn it on. Because I was looking at photographers and I was sort of surprised. A lot of them don't have the review tab turned on their Facebook page. So that's sort of high value 3 and 4. All right, so moving right along here. So high value number 4 is Instagram, because you guys are photographers and Instagram is all about photography, right? So it's very high value. And here are some tips, especially with hashtags, right? So I have links, and you can see Instagram on the desktop. Of course, people don't use it on the desktop; they use it on the. I just love that. I mean, you're photographers. It's like, wow. People use hashtags in Instagram, so these posts are hashtagged, and then that allows people to find them and search for them. So if people are thinking of looking at baby photographers or poses, they might look for baby photographer. But here's the other tip. There are geotags on Instagram. So this is my hometown. I'm from Oklahoma originally. And so this is the Geotag Tulsa. Now what's interesting is people will go on Instagram and they will look for cool stuff to do or what's going on in their community, or it can be a neighborhood or something like that. And posts that are geotagged will show up in their feed, and they'll look for those. So this is even a baby sort of photographer. So so as you're taking a photo, let's say you're out at a park, like in Oklahoma and Tulsa, there's a park called Woodward Park, which is the big city park. And in the springtime, it's really common for weddings and bar mitzvahs and first communions and babies, and they take photographs out amongst the flowers. Well, you could then hashtag some of the photos as you're taking, like you take some with your professional camera and then just take some with your phone, and then hashtag those Woodward Park, and then people that are in the park or nearby or interested in Instagram would see your photography, and you can then you know, get followers for your Instagram feed and kind of build your audience outside. Another tool which you may, idea that you may or may not be aware of, I've seen it in weddings, is they'll have a hashtag, hashtag, John and Susie's wedding, and then they'll encourage the participants, the bridegroom, the families, to take photographs and hashtag it on Instagram. And then the professional photographer would also be doing it. And so then you have kind of this smorgasbord of photographs that people in the wedding party are interested in following, and their friends are following. And again, you're then promoting yourself. So let's say you're doing a photo shoot of a baby's first birthday party. You could then say, let's use a hashtag, little Johnny's birthday, and have everyone Instagram it. And then now you've got a way for the friends of the family who are at the party to be kind of participatory, and you're spreading, hopefully, I would assume your photographs are going to be better than theirs, but you've got that spread. So Instagram hashtags and kind of what are called the super fans and the geotag, I think, are really good opportunities for photographers. Okay, and then sort of quick tip number 5 for photographers would be Pinterest. And again, I'm not sure how much this type of photography is on Pinterest, but it is very visual. It was sort of before Instagram became Instagram. I just want to show you this little tip, which I think is quite interesting on Pinterest. And a lot of people don't know this, but if you go, and you have to kind of know a little bit about URLs, but if you have a competitor or your own website or whoever, you can put pinterest.com/source and then / the URL of the website, and you can see what's shared. So for instance, you go Dallas baby photographers, and you check out somebody who knows a little bit of something about marketing, so Maya Photography. So let's look at their website, and you can nab their URL, right? So now I've got this website, Maya Photography, and then I can go over here to Pinterest, and I've got the format for you, but you just replace the URL, the domain, with the domain you want to track, and you can see, did anybody share this on Pinterest, and if so, what have they shared? So it's a good way to kind of cheat and look at what's shareable, and then you can look into any one of these and see, like, did they have comments, and what are they doing? So it's a good kind of way to cheat in Instagram or in Pinterest using that. It's kind of mad at me using that tip. All right, so let's just wrap this up, and then we'll take some questions from our participants, right? So my tips are, really know your keywords and do some research and think, like, what are people searching, and understand those, and don't miss your cities. Number 2, invest a little bit in your SEO knowledge. You don't have to be SEO geniuses, but read the Google guide, and crazy idea, do what Google tells you to do. 3rd, on the review front, claim your listing, optimize your listing, get reviews from happy customers. It's so high value that you really want to prioritize this. A lot of people will whine to me like, oh, nobody will write reviews. Well, everybody's in the same boat. Everybody's customers are just as lazy as your customers are. You just have to fight that and ask 10 people to get the one here. Sorry, I'm getting people in here. And then we've got Instagram. especially the geotags and creating hashtags, and then Pinterest is sort of interesting to reverse engineer. So, all right, so I'm going to stop my share here, and I'm going to open the mics. And this is the point in which I always tell everyone to stop eating their Doritos, if anyone's eating Doritos. And then we can just have a conversation about anything you guys would like to ask me or vice versa. So let me unmute everybody. So if Zoom works well for us, just start talking and it should just pop yourself up on the screen.
Well, I'll start with a question. Can you hear me?
Uh-huh.
This is Leah. Google paid ads, those ads that we see at the top, value in those, or people scrolling past those to get straight to the organic? What, do you have any research on that?
Yes. So it is true that most people ignore the ads. So about 60 to 70% of the click volume goes to the 3 organic. So the things that are not paid suck up most of the oxygen, so to speak. So if at all possible, ranking for free is better because 1, you don't pay, and 2, that's where the click activity is. Where the ads are valuable is there's 2 kind of related ways. One is if it's a really high value product or service. So I was telling you when we were talking, like I've done work with a photographer in New York City who does corporate headshots. So corporate headshots, very niche-y, very high value. So you could run ads on corporate headshots just in, say, Manhattan, super high value, then it can really be worth it. So if you have a service that's really high value, wedding photography might be one. I don't know where the money is in photography.
Yeah, none of us do.
Then there's value there. And then the second area that unfortunately they're more important is mobile phone. So the phone, the real estate, Google's done a great job, so to speak, of crowding out the organic on the phone.
Nice.
So a lot of younger people who only use their phone will just see the ads. So you can do ads just on the phone.
Oh, you can. You can choose that?
Yes, you can rank. You can adjust them to only run on the phone.
Oh. Wow, that's interesting.
And there is value in that. And a lot of my higher value clients, right, we run specifically on the phone, even if we rank on organic. And I always feel a little bit unhappy about it because you do have to pay, right? So you can have, you're paying, but then if you're seeing a return on your investment, earth-shattering news, Google's not a charity, neither is Facebook, right?
Facebook, right? Yeah, exactly.
Shockingly, they're all trying to make money.
Yes. Well, I have more questions, but I will stop for a minute and just let other people ask questions. And then when everybody's done, I will ask some more.
Okay.
Jerry, Laura, Carol, are you still there? Carol's gone. Anyone?
Go ahead, Leah.
Okay. All right. I'm going to go then. So you talked about the importance of using your keywords when you're titling a page, and I assume you mean also a paste or like a blog post. But what's, and I don't know that you'll really be able to answer this, but we'll throw it out there anyway. Of course, there's that thing like if you get too repetitive with your keywords in the blog post title, then you look spammy, and Google doesn't like that. Can you
keyword
speak to that?
stuffing? Yeah, it's called keyword stuffing.
Mm-hmm.
So what we're talking about here, if I go and share my screen here, let me flip over. So what we're talking about here is this idea of the titles, right? So let's say somebody, right? So here's a nice kind of phrase that you might blog about, right?
Sure.
How to select a good wedding photographer, right? Or, you can see that there's a lot of, and this kind of, you guys are visual, I assume, because you're photographers, but this is very much a word game, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
So you want to look at that. Now, what we're talking about is, and we can just see here, if you look at like the #1 result on Google, right? And then it gets a little nerdy here. If you go into the source code, you'll see this here, the title, right? So see how that says 10 steps to finding? And if you look here, 10 steps to finding. So when you're in, say, WordPress and you give a title to it, or you use what's called the Yoast plugin, that title needs to contain the target keywords, right? So you don't want to, this is where you don't want to be too creative and name it something weird. You want to stay on topic, and that's through that tag. Now the keyword stuffing, let's do Control F as in Frank and type in the word wedding and highlight and see what we have here. And you can see here that whoever wrote this, right? They say the word wedding and they probably say the word photographer, you know, in this kind of stuff, but they don't overdo it. It's not just like photography, 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 right? They are. What I do have you have to kind of play with it to get it to highlight, but it'll. Oh, it's being funky, but you can see in here photography.
Yeah.
So
Right.
the point here is, you know, I always say like a little salt is good for the soup, but too much salt ruins it. There's a balance. So you have to know your keywords. You want to get them especially in the title, and then you want to get your content to have more than you'd normally put in, but not so much that it's just like grotesque. That's the sweet spot of avoiding keyword stuffing is the idea.
Okay. So as photographers, I will tell you that most of us hate to write. So we don't put a lot of words in our blog posts. We just stuff it with pictures.
Yes.
And I go in and I retitle all of mine, you know, baby photographer Indianapolis, baby photographer Westfield, newborn photography. I try to switch it up. But so I switch it up within each blog post. Like maybe I'll put 10 or 15 pictures within a blog post and I'll switch up the titles within it. But those titles are very similar to the titles of the pictures in all my blog posts. I mean, I'll put the baby's name in to just try to make it a little bit different, but can you speak to that?
Yeah, so this is what's called a duplicate content penalty, right? So you guys are like yin to my yang, right? So I can't draw if my life depended on it. You know, but I'm a good writer. I can just say boom, you know?
There you go.
No problem, right? So that's the challenge, right? Because the SEO component is very text heavy. It's very text oriented. And one of the mistakes, kind of rookie mistakes that photographers, web designers make is they create for iPhone all pictures, and Google isn't all pictures. You've got to get some text. So if you have a picture of a baby, you know, you kind of have to say, this is a picture of baby John being photographed by one of the best baby photographers in Indianapolis.
Yes.
You know? And the trick is to make it visually appealing and just kind of caption it, and just to the extent you could get a couple, even if you described like, you know, it was a bright sunny day and we went out to this park and baby John was a little temperamental, but I got him to calm down for his photograph by one of the best photographers, you know, that you have to do that, right? And that's and then you don't have to worry if you have one that's baby John and one that's baby Emma, you know, and one that's in this park, and you know, that's okay. What you can't have is them all the same, exactly the same. That's the penalty.
Okay.
Right? So you do unfortunately need to have some text on the pages that that Google can sink its teeth into.
Got it.
And that's hard, I know, for people that are visual.
Got it. Regarding Instagram hashtags, are there any rules on how many? I've seen, you know, people put up a couple, and I've seen people put up 20.
Yeah. Instagram is funny. Twitter, the culture on Twitter is like 2 or 3 hashtags and that's it. And then people get kind of ticked if you have hundreds. But if you go and look at Instagram posts, you'll see that there's a lot of hashtags on it. Like just look at some posts and you'll see that people just, you know, look at all this. And Instagram is really very hashtag friendly. I mean, I wouldn't overdo it and be, this is a bit crazy, right? But, and I think the other thing here is, you know, how many people, you know, baby shower gift, I can definitely see people looking, you know, I want some shower gifts. That's a fun visual thing to search for. But just pictures of babies, not so much. But I do think like the geos are very valuable, right? Where people are looking in a community. That's kind of like, you know, like people do this in Palo Alto, like University Avenue is the main drag there where all the shops are. And there is, you know, there are Instagram hashtags for that. So I think 5, 6, 7 is plenty. But more importantly, think of hashtags that people actually would use that would be relevant. You know, Indianapolis or the neighborhoods that it's in there. And then maybe wedding photo ideas, baby photo ideas would be a good hashtag. So quality over quantity, you know?
Okay, I'm going to follow up that one with another hashtag question. So I basically have saved like a list of hashtags that I use on Instagram for my baby portraits and a list that I use for my senior portraits, and I copy and paste it, and I don't ever really change it. They seem to be the hot ones from my searching. So I'm really using the same ones every single time. Is that a problem?
No, I don't think that's a problem. And then the high school ones reminds me that that's a really good example. If you're doing senior photos,
Mm-hmm.
there's a hashtag for the high school, and that is definitely the
Oh.
demographic that is going to look.
Mm-hmm.
So there's going to be and you have to do a little research, like what is the hashtag for? Like I went to a high school called Booker T. Washington. So is it hashtag BTW, which was what we would call it, or Washington, or WHS? You got to do a little research.
Right.
There you go as a hashtag and think, before or when they're booking, before
Mm-hmm.
senior prom or before,
Right.
Think of putting some content out there so they see that you're out there.
Yeah. Okay. Very good.
So that has to be very valuable.
When you refer to geotags on Instagram, is that something other than just putting a hashtag with the name of the town? Is that some other function?
Yes, it's different. So a geotag is like a hashtag. It's kind of hard to show on the desktop, but if you're on the phone, a geotag is sort of like, where are you? So
Like location?
It's location tag.
Okay.
Yeah. So when you're in Woodward Park in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and you take an Instagram and it basically asks you, where are you? That's the geotag.
So when I'm posting the picture, it gives me the opportunity to tell me where that picture was, or for me to tell people where the picture was taken.
Yes, and you want to do that, especially if you're in like a trendy area. I know a lot of the parks, if people photograph outside,
Sure,
that's a trendy area. So the geotags are valuable. And I think you can spoof them. I think you can select, like you can start typing a location, not where you are. So when you're putting it in your phone, start typing and you can put in Palo Alto, even if you're not in Palo Alto.
Right. Okay. Very good.
A little nuance of a hashtag.
On that, can I ask a question about that? I've seen photographers use their location as like their studio name. But my studio does not pop up in there as an option to choose.
Yeah, so that, again, that just is someone hasn't created it. So you have to create your location. And this also speaks to Facebook. If your Facebook page is a local business, that will create that. It's essentially Instagram/Facebook hasn't discovered your location.
Okay.
And that's what that is. But I would be a little less interested in that and more interested in like the nearby location, so that if your studio is in like a trendy area, I would rather be geotagged with the trendy area than the studio, because
I usually my location as like where I'm located in Goshen, Indiana. So when people look up Goshen, I show up in there.
Yeah.
Because I always think that you wouldn't optimize for your business name, because if they knew your business name, then they're either going to call you and book a session, or they know your business and they're choosing to go somewhere else. So to optimize for your business name is kind of pointless.
And
I think what might be interesting with venues is like if you're at, like I've gone to a lot of weddings and they're at like a hotel or they're at a golf course or something. Those can be interesting because other people who are at a wedding of somebody else, if you're geotagged with it, they might see you in that way. So those prime locations where photographers hang out, I think those have value.
Got it.
Geotags.
So I have a question about that. If you say, for instance, we're near a shopping center and there is a couture baby shop. So can I geotag that baby shop so that anybody that is around that baby shop, then my business will pop up if they go to that store?
Yeah, if they browse the tag. So you got to think, Instagram is kind of like a magazine, right? So what people do is they'll be, everybody, especially younger people, they live on their phones, right? So they'll be on their phones in the baby store looking through like what other people have posted in that store. And that's where you can kind of piggyback on by geotagging your photography there. So the idea is it's like having a kind of a free ad, as it were, in the magazine. So that's what you do. Yeah. So you'd look at it's the same idea as like a park where a lot of weddings occur, and geotagging it, because they'll be sitting there in the park waiting for their turn for their senior picture, and they're going to browse what's going on, and Instagram's going to suggest the geotag to them.
So it's almost like so if you have a high-end baby store in your area, perhaps when you're posting a newborn portrait, one of your hashtags would be the hashtag that matches the name of that baby store. And people look up that baby store or they're fans of that, they would see.
Yes, or if the baby's clothed in things from the store, that's another idea. So people will it's all marketing, like adjacent marketing, right? So people who own babies buy a lot of baby clothes, and they'll hashtag the store where they bought it, and then people browse, like, on their lunch hour or when they should be working, right? They're browsing, looking at it. Very much I always think of Instagram as sort of like those women's magazines like Vogue that are all pictures.
Right.
And then you just are browsing through for ideas and stuff like that. I have 2 daughters, so pray for me. I was actually in LA, sort of funny story, years with you. I've dragged my children to, like, Civil War museums and all this kind of stuff, my 2 kids. And we went to Los Angeles and we were in Beverly Hills and we went into the Gucci store, right? So we're in the Gucci store and, like, getting my wife and my 2 daughters out of the Gucci store, like, act of God, right? So I'm just sitting here, like, ready to kill myself in the chair, just waiting. And my daughter came up to me. She said, "Dad, you have to think of this. This is like the Gucci purse museum, and we're just retaliating to you, what you do to us,
Oh, that's funny. That's funny.
So it was like the Gucci, because of course we couldn't afford those purses, but we were, they're all in their little
window shopping.
window shop.
Yes. Laura, what else you got?
I want to know, so would a good geotag be for baby portraits? Would that be like the nearest fertility clinic?
OBGYN maybe.
Yeah.
Although, again, I mean, you got to think Instagram is very fun oriented. So I don't know if people that are at the OBGYN clinic are going to be taking pictures and sharing them. I kind of hope not. Right.
Maybe the 3D ultrasound place, though, they would.
Where it's fun, right? So that's where the clothing stores, Babies R Us, those are the really good ones, because that's where people are interacting. A fertility clinic's not very photogenic, right?
Yeah, we don't want them to share their pictures from their OBGYN visit, please. No.
Although they probably do, but
Well,
but the fun ones, like the Babies R Us or the high end. I mean, again, I'm not in the baby market, but I know there's like high end baby stores. Those are perfect.
Yeah.
Those are perfect.
I have another question about the articles. Now, is Google, if you are writing an article and you're going to post that, is there a word minimum, like more than 350 words, so that Google will recognize that and read all of it?
Yeah, so you don't, and again, to the photography community, right, I would say the general error is too few words.
It's true.
You need about 2 or 3 paragraphs. So let's say you're kind of posting on your blog some sample work, right? I think probably the easiest thing to do is, like, literally describe the photo shoot, it was a beautiful day and we went to this park and the weather was this and little Johnny was dressed in his Babies R Us outfit. You've got to puff it up so you have 2 or 3 or 4 paragraphs that have the keywords, because you can't just put little Johnny in baby outfit photographed, period. That's too short. So about 3 paragraphs.
If you have enough words, you need to include the keywords. It doesn't do you any good if there's no keywords involved.
Not really. Okay. It's kind of like, I always think like it's like the torture of high school. It's like when the high school English teacher would say, get up and stand in front of the class and tell us about, Abraham Lincoln's early life. And you kind of have to say 2 or 3 paragraphs about it to pass. You can't just say he was born in a log cabin. Done.
Well, because
it's embellish it.
I have like a form that I have my clients fill out to kind of answer some questions so that I can use their story when I post their images on my blog. But they have no idea that I need these keywords in there. So I need to go in and kind of change it to add some keywords to it.
Yes, but they're also kind of, think of it also as that the words that they're giving you, the information they're giving you, is kind of the blah, blah, blah. So it's like, here is little Johnny, and he was 2 years old, and he was with his grandma. That's your blah, blah, blah that you need to have, then be able to say, being photographed by Indianapolis best baby photographer. So you need the blah, blah, blah to poof it out, to get some stuff there. So that's useful because it is relevant. It's related. So it's not one or the other, it's both.
Okay.
Both on those. That's a really good question on how to do it.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Well, I saw what you say, something about SERPs or SERPS.com.
Yes.
What is that?
So that's a tool. So I, as part of my books on the topic, right, I track various tools. And so this is just a discovery tool, right? So it allows you to put in, you know, your, like a starter keyword, wedding, photography, and then it's just a way kind of to help you word game it out. So you can go, okay, well, let me click over here. I got to get this out of the way. So this is like when you're, you know, again, especially people who aren't necessarily really good, it helps you just sort of look for what are related search. You say, okay, affordable, Indian, Chicago, best, fine art, you know, all the cities come up. It's a discovery tool.
So it gives you ideas on what you can use for
what you can write. Yeah.
Okay.
Helps
but
you. It helps like you know what are they searching for.
And then the ones that are more expensive are
higher value, right? So this is what the CPC is, cost per click. So this is what people are willing to pay Google in ads, right? And generally, right, the higher this number, the more valuable the word is in terms of money. Like, where's the money?
Okay.
That's what that's. And then this is the volume, like where the searches are. So it's a discovery tool. I always say it's like word games. You're playing a word game, so it helps you understand what are the words, what are the volumes, what are the values. It kind of gets your ideas flowing. It's also great for blogging. You could say, okay, now I've got some blogging ideas, you know, creative wedding photography. Now I've got something I could sink my teeth into to write a blog post about. Just a discovery tool.
Okay.
So that's why that's on there. And those are on my dashboard. I've got a lot of tools like that too.
Hey, Jason, can you tell us about your books, your workbooks?
Yeah. So how I teach at Stanford Continuing Studies. That's where the books came from. And I teach one on SEO, so search engine optimization. I have one on social media, and I have one on AdWords. And so those are on Amazon. And I was teaching at Stanford, and to teach a class, you need the materials. And then I wrote the books. And then I had an accountant, and I'm not good with bookkeeping, right? And he said, hey, you know, you made a ton of money on these books on Amazon. And then that's when I realized, like, I'm stupid. So that's when I really started emphasizing my books. So that's where my books. Yeah. And most people take my classes, read my book. They're like, like small business owners. And that's what they're kind of no nonsense books for small business people.
I will put links to your Amazon, to all three books up on my site tomorrow. And that way I downloaded the, you know that I took your class, like, I don't know, 6 years ago.
Yeah. Okay.
So, and I have several of your books, and I just downloaded your SEO workbook.
The new one. Okay.
Yep.
Because of course it changes, right? So it's
of course, right?
Professional employment for me, right? It doesn't say.
Well, that's great for you, isn't it?
Yeah.
New stuff.
Always overcomplicated.
Absolutely. So, and I also plan to download the other two books as well and purchase those. But I'll definitely put links up on my page. But yeah, hopefully some people will, I'm sure. I know that I've benefited greatly from your teachings.
Good. Well, thank you. So they're good, niche. So yeah. So why don't I, so let's wrap up, and I will do is I'm going to get the video and I'll clean up a little bit, and then I'll put it up on my YouTube channel, and I'll shoot you an email so that there's the video for people to come check out, and it'll help me by being on YouTube for photographers. And, you know, I always think the other thing about this is so important is to have fun with it, right? We live in such a great time for marketing because there's so many things that you can do, and you can't, you know, people often get discouraged, but there are so many. I mean, I'm old enough to remember like the 70s, like when all you had was the yellow pages and shows and in a billboard. And now there's a lot of, it's confusing, yes, but there's a lot of opportunities. So I try to have people maintain a positive attitude. If you just little elbow grease, you can do a lot to market a business that really wasn't possible you know, and I think that's cool.
Me too. I agree.
Okay.
I agree. Awesome. Thank you so much, Jason. I appreciate your time.
Okay. All right, guys. Thank you.
All right. Good night.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.